Texas reminds me of Michigan last year, with a quarterback returning and an NFL upside. A team that just lost the previous national semifinal playoff game, and it sticks in and it puts a chip on their shoulder. Studs all over the place, an offensive line that can manhandle you, defense that can get after you. They look like a national championship team to me.
I think they look like a national championship team, too. Being there last week, the part I don't see the parallel with is how they win, right? So I think with Harbaugh, you had a team that was first and foremost was all about physicality. Now, I think Sark wants to be physical too.
They look pretty damn physical to me.
And their offensive line I thought was terrific. I thought Sark had a great game plan for it.
He was awesome.
You know, Quinn Ewers was very sharp, and he's played a lot of really good games on the road away, you know, like in hostile environments. It's funny, at one point in the first quarter, on the sideline, and there was a security guy right near me on the field. He was actually on the Texas side, and I said, how long have you been doing this? He said, 57 years. And he said, this is as loud as it's ever been for Ohio State, which is, you know, it's a good, you know, statement or metric. And then after a couple of series, they get down, and it's like they're getting down double digits. You're like, yeah, Michigan cannot keep up with these guys.
Yep.
They're not even one-dimensional right now on offense. They're like no-dimensional. And some of that is a big credit to Texas. I think Texas didn't even have to show a lot of stuff. Like Texas they may have 6 receivers who are all better than the best receiver Michigan has. Taking, not tight end, but just the outside guys. And I think Sark has built them. To me, there are 3 teams that I feel like have a really good chance of winning a national title.
And they are?
They are Georgia, Texas,
and Ohio State. Yeah.
Now, Oregon has not looked very good so far. They're 2-0, but they've scuffled. I thought Oregon would be one of those teams in the mix. Then you have a couple of SEC teams that are kind of hovering around the radar.
When does Miami play somebody to get them in that mix for you? Because they've
not to the playoff.
Pretty much. So
I think Miami could smash. Like, look, Florida State doesn't look very good right now. I'm not saying Miami can't stub its toe.
Sure.
They certainly could. But the way Cam Ward is playing,
phenomenal.
Phenomenal. You're seeing a guy with a ton of confidence. He's got a lot of weapons. Cristobal has really recruited well. They've killed it in the portal. I think they're getting deeper. I think they're the class of the ACC, but it's still the ACC. They're not going to see anybody where you'll be able to say, oh yeah, they can compete for the national title. I definitely think they're going to be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
They can be a top 4 seed because they would win the ACC. I mean, a lot has to happen. You know, they're still, you know, but I just think there are teams that feel like they're superpower teams, and they're the 3 I mentioned. You could throw in potentially Tennessee. You could throw in Ole Miss. We'll find out a little bit more about Missouri, you know, this weekend. And then we have Alabama. I'm gonna see them this weekend at Wisconsin. You know, they struggled for 3 quarters and then pulled away from USF. But I just think there's these other teams that are, whether it's a Big 12 school or an ACC school, you're not going to really know if they can really hang with those teams, I think, until the playoff actually starts to get going.
So they're going to be the who have they really beaten team of 2024 is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, look at it this way. I don't want to steer the show right now, but like...
Please go for it.
So I've sat there and thought about what's the playoff going to look like in terms of like... Oh, you can be 10-2. You might even be able to be 9-3 if you're an SEC team, depending on who it is you play. The idea that Notre Dame, you know, mid-September cannot afford another loss, and they actually had a nice opening week win at Texas A&M.
They sure did.
And then they lose to NIU. You know, it's the first top 10 win in NIU's history. And it's a great story for them, but I don't know if they have any more margin for error because, you know, yes, USC is looking better than people thought, but Florida State, who's also on their schedule, is looking much worse. Who are they going to beat? Who are people going to go, oh yeah, that's a really, really good win? There aren't going to be any, you know, unless USC goes out and sits at 11-0 before they play them. I don't think there's anybody going to be like a top 10 or even top 15 team that's going to be on the resume. Now you got this loss. And I think that's the part where I feel like the playoff committee is going to be sitting there choosing from the SEC. Well, I think there could be 5 teams in there, but there'll probably be 4, and we'll see what the rest of the Big Ten looks like.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.